Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more news and politics. This time for Thursday, December the 7th, 2023. So, yeah, let's get into this. The first piece I have here is from The Lever Sound and Fury over Israel Palestine. David Sirota speaks with Washington Post columnist Shadi Hamid about the public perception and heated debates regarding the Middle East crisis. Uh, in this week's episode of Lever Time, David Sirota is joined by author and Washington Post editorial board member Shadi Hamid to discuss the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza, specifically how this current iteration of the decades long hostilities are being debated, protested, perceived, and exacerbated by people in America and across the globe. In what has already been a bitterly polarizing decade in American history, the deadly conflict unfolding in Israel and Gaza has somehow managed to intensify that division. While there has been some progress, like the growing number of elected officials who support a permanent ceasefire agreement, the majority of our public discourse surrounding this crisis is heated and unconstructive. But an issue like this requires patience, humility, and a lot of listening. That's true from the holiday dinner table to the White House. In today's discussion, David speaks with Shadi, who this particular conflict has drawn more global attention and instigated more public debate than other global conflicts. They also discuss reconciling the right to exist for both Israelis and Palestinians, how to construct a practical path forward that can meaningfully address genuine grievances, and what the challenging politics of Israel Palestine inside the Democratic Party might mean for the 2024 election. But yeah, and of course they have links to the actual piece, which is an audio thing. So yeah. Now, let's look at some pictures here. This is a picture of Maximilian, Emperor of Mexico, playing cricket with the British legation in Mexico City around 1865. Maximilian is the fork-bearded gentleman just behind the stumps. So yeah, I think they're referring to him. But anyway, yeah, remember, this is talking about Maximilian the First, the lone emperor of Mexico, because during the reign of Napoleon the Third of France, they broke into a conflict with Mexico, eventually conquering the country and emplacing an emperor, Maximilian. Now, Maximilian would be defeated, or overthrown, I should say. He was already in power, but he would eventually be overthrown, and Mexico would go back into being a somewhat democratic country. They would still have to go through their war for independence, their civil war, I should say, because you would then have a number of contenders to be president of Mexico. And then, of course, like I said, you would have the Mexican Civil War taking place in the early 1900s. But yeah, 1865, Maximilian was ruling Mexico. And remember, the U.S. was just finally getting done with its own civil war. So yeah. Next image. Members of the Interracial Marriage Club protesting bans on interracial unions and advocating for desegregated homes in 1963. 1963. That was only 60 years ago. So yeah, think about this. It's not been that long since this was the way the country was, where, you know, you couldn't interracially marry. Eventually, that would be overturned with the case Loving v. Virginia. And thus, interracial marriage would become legal. But yeah. You'll notice this was the one thing Clarence Thomas didn't mention that was also affected by the same rule that he sought to overturn Obergefell and a number of other rulings. Because, he forgets to mention, I'm interracially married, which would also be affected by that part of the Constitution. Clarence Thomas is such a piece of shit. He's human garbage. He really is. And here's a picture. Bill Harley and Arthur Davidson in 1924. And of course, Harley Davidson. They clearly have been out fishing. But yeah. Alright. From the AP. A Texas judge grants a pregnant woman permission to get an abortion despite the state's ban. A Texas judge on Thursday gave a pregnant woman whose fetus has a fatal diagnosis permission to get an abortion to an unprecedented challenge over bans that more than 6 dozen states have enacted since Roe v. Wade was overturned. The lawsuit by Kate Cox, a 31-year-old mother of 2 from Dallas, is believed to be the first time since the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision last year that a woman has asked a court to approve an abortion. The order only applies to Cox, and her attorneys afterward spoke cautiously about any wider impacts, calling it unfeasible that scores of other women seeking abortions would now be allowed to turn to courts. But yeah, I'm glad at least the judges were like, yeah, there are cases where the life of the mother may be in danger, and that should be something that permits it. Because some of these states, they don't care about human life. They're not pro-life, they're pro-birth. Anyway, from Al Jazeera, U.S. throws weight behind Guyana in territorial dispute with Venezuela. Well, top U.S. diplomat Blinken reaffirmed support for Guyana's sovereignty as Venezuela threatens to annex the Essequibo region. The United States says it is fully backing Guyana against Venezuela's threat to annex its oil-rich western territory as tensions soar over their border dispute. Yeah, if you remember, we talked about Venezuela approving this as a measure that had been voted on to take land from Guyana. And at least we have stepped in and said, whoa, no, 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 no. You will leave Guyana alone. You see, it's something like that. I can agree with the ideation of the Monroe Doctrine. Preventing, taking land by force. It should never be permitted. And so the actual Monroe Doctrine here makes sense, because we have a responsibility as the largest power in the Americas to be the decider of issues. We don't want to go to war. We shouldn't have to go to war. It shouldn't come to violence or conflict. But we should be able to throw our weight around and say, don't do that. It's not right. Because this is something closer to home. This is something that truly affects us. More so than Israel and Palestine, Gaza, that conflict, and Russia and Ukraine, that conflict. Venezuela and Guyana is in our own backyard, so it's at least something we can look at and go, okay, yeah, we need to keep the peace here. I still don't think it should come to violence, but yeah. If it's anywhere we should use the size and power we have to make assertions, it should be in the Americas, North and South. Okay, from CNBC, Biden administration asserts power to seize drug patents in move to slash high prices. Great. I'm glad he's at least doing something on that front. The Biden administration asserted its authority to seize the patents of certain costly medications. The court the effort marks a new push to slash high drug prices and promote more competition in the pharmaceutical industry in the U.S. The administration unveiled a new framework continuing the factors federal agencies should consider in determining whether to use a controversial policy known as Marchian rights. But yeah, if the patents were developed using the money of Americans, public funding, then private companies should never have a patent on that medicine. Never. Period. It's developed with public money, so it should belong to the public. Yeah. From WUSA 9. Former police chief sentenced to 11 years in prison for conspiracy to bring weapons on January the 6th. Alan Hostetter, who served as the chief of the La Habra Police Department, was convicted of 4 felony counts after representing himself at trial. Now remember, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson doesn't want the Department of Justice to go after people like this. He's like, keep them from convicting January the 6th individuals. Fucker, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. But no, he's like, we don't want them convicting people who did bad things on January the 6th because we are fucking Republicans and we want to kiss their ass. Yeah, Mike Johnson, again, like Clarence Thomas, piece of human garbage. From France 24, Iran uses rape, torture to silence detained Mahsa Amini protesters, Amnesty says. Iranian authorities have used rape and sexual assault to punish or silence those arrested during the 2022 Mahsa Amini protests, Amnesty International said in a report released on Wednesday. Amnesty documented 45 cases of sexual violence perpetrated against men, women, and children who were detained, and says the actual number of victims may be much higher. Yeah. Why? Why are you using sexual violence as a weapon? That should be something you never do. Ever. It is not acceptable. As a form of punishment, retribution, or vile behavior. Not even among the acts of war, it should not be acceptable. But yeah. Here's a video, well, a GIF. No, it's an actual video. It's a short one. Massive number of dead fish washing up along the coast of northern Japan. Yeah, as the waves are coming in, you can see all those dead fish in the water. What is causing it? There is no verified consensus that I'm aware of. What I think is it may be a drop in oxygenation in the water, perhaps. Thus, the fish are unable to obtain water through normal means with the gill, or attain oxygen through normal means with their gills in the water. But that's not even a guarantee of what's causing it either. And the other video we have here. Yeah, this one, it was like, really? Woman attempted to burn down the birth home of Martin Luther King Jr. And it's like, why? Why would you do that?
The reason why you just did this tonight? Are you having a...
Yeah, right there was the house, I reckon, so.
Are you involved in a situation? Or are you just having... Are you comfortable, sweet? Are you comfortable? Okay, thank you.
Right there.
Thank you. Hello. So me and him were looking at the house, just checking it out from here, and she came right behind us, got the gas can, and at first she just was kind of water.
Just happened to be using the gas can to water the plants.
And then she had trouble getting it open, so eventually she unscrewed the top and threw it to the ground, and walked up on the porch and under the rope and started dumping the gas all over the porch. So instantly it's like, okay, this is not good.
And then we could smell the gas, that it was gas.
So she came back down, she dumped it, she dropped the can in the bushes, and then came back down to grab her lighter.
So let's go ahead and talk.
Why would you want to burn down Dr. King's birth home? Why? Are you thinking, I didn't get to shoot and kill him, so I want to do something evil too? Again, a piece of property is never should be equated to the worth of individual lives. But still, it's why? Why would you want to do something on this level? What does it accomplish? You see the actions of the world, sometimes you wonder, why? Why is this a thing? But yeah. I think we'll go ahead and end this episode there. Just, yeah. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn, Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.